Today, I want to talk about something that I think every photographer and videographer struggles with, and that is visibility. I mean, whether you're an upcoming photographer or videographer, or even a seasoned, the best way to get yourself out there is to be visible. And we're going to get into that right now. So when you first pick up your camera and you start on your journey, you are absolutely unaware of all that goes on, much less the people that probably need your services are unaware of everything that you can do. And the only way to combat that is to actually get out there and make yourself known. Now, of course, it's not the easiest thing to do, but of course, it's not the hardest thing as well. As a photographer, the first thing that you want to do is actually get yourself known in areas and in the niche that you would like to be known for. There's so many photographers now, especially in the content creation space. You actually have to make a name for yourself, and visibility is what keeps your name and your brand going in the long run. Now, for me, since I chose the niche of fashion, I've been attending so many fashion shows, traveling different states just to get myself known as a photographer and a videographer. Because everyone knows that you can possibly take pictures, but are you actually capable? And I think that's what really matters when you're dealing with clients and you're dealing with models. Now, one of the first things I noticed, and this applies to models as well, as a model or even a photographer, it's very scary because models put their trust in you as the photographer. Right? They want to make sure that you capture them under the best light. They want to make sure that they're posing the best so that the clients, the brands, people who are actually out there as their influential selves get to actually see them in their best light, and they put their trust in you. So when you pick up that camera and you put that lens in the front, you're now seeing everything from a different perspective, and you want to make sure that they're in their best light. Not only does that look good for you, but that also looks good for the model. Every model knows they all have that one photographer that they stay with for a long time. Granted, you might branch out here and there, for different niches, because you're not just going to stay in that one niche, but you have that one photographer that you go to that you know what, if I want to get this look, I can trust that this vision will be created. Ask any model, I'm sure they have that one photographer. Most importantly, you get to network, and networking is what keeps your name alive. I've met so many great photographers, I've met so many great brands, and in just a short span of time, I realized that all that it takes is you actually getting yourself out there and putting yourself in front of the spotlight. Now, they're going to challenge you, they're going to see what is your texture worth. They really want to know, can you actually handle under the pressure to produce what you say you can produce? And by all means, I say put your best foot forward. But as a starting photographer, you might not have the confidence to do so. So what do? You find yourself with a brand, you find yourself with someone who's not as established to say, I would like to shoot some spec work for you. And shooting spec work, especially for brands, really helps you get your name, because they'll say, you know what, I work with this photographer or this videographer and they produce some great work. It's not going to be the easiest because, of course, you're starting out. And the best way to practice is go out and do street photography. Figure out what type of style you want to capture. And I think I mentioned that in one of my previous videos. Going out and finding the type of style that you want to get known for is key. And I say that because, once again, there's so many influencers out there, and everyone doesn't want to see the same work repetitive. You have to actually set yourself apart. So if someone picks up your work and they see your picture or they see your video, they can say, you know what, I know he shot it because that's his style. It can be an up-tempo type of style for videography. It can be a slow, romantic type of style for videography, or even for photographers, it can be natural light. Everyone loves what they call a natty with a baddie. Everyone has their own niche, and I think you find your style when you go out there and practice. But that takes you being visible. So that's the first step. The second step going into that is actually preparing and getting over all your fears. Fears are the first thing that hinders anyone from doing what they're naturally inclined to do. And I say that because once you know the direction that you're going, you usually put your mind forward to it and you just keep going, You're going to fail and it's going to be hard. It's probably, people might laugh at you and say, oh, you thought you were doing something when you did X, Y, and Z. But you know what? It's all a process. And once you get to that seasoned level, you know how things work. You know what clients need. So it's easy for you to turn around and say, I can produce X, Y, and Z for you, because you want to actually have your name out there for people knowing that you can actually produce work. And that applies to just about any industry, whether you're doing plumbing, whether you're doing electrical, whether you're a lawyer, these are the things your name carries wherever you go. And especially if you go to different states, when you're dealing with fashion, you step into a room and they say, oh, that's the photographer from Florida, or that's the photographer from New York, or the photographer from Virginia, wherever it is that you might be located. People remember you because they remember your work, and that's what you want to be known for. Going forward, as a photographer or even a videographer, don't stop what you're doing just because it's not hitting right away. Instagram will confuse you to tell you that you're not doing well. You're doing this for a world that has to grasp what you're trying to convey. And at the same time, you really don't want to fall victim to what they're saying about your work. Like I said, not all work is the greatest. Some might be okay. You're not going to shoot the best shot every time you're at a fashion show, you know? And your work will actually speak for yourself. So once you make a name for yourself, people will always remember you based on your style and also your integrity in what you're doing. If you've been to any fashion shows recently, let me know if you, as a beginner photographer, ever felt like you shouldn't be here, you didn't know what to do. How did you overcome that? Because I feel like once you know the direction and where you're going, you can do anything with it. So with that being said, drop that note there. I'll see you guys on the next one. Leave a comment. Don't forget to hit that like button, and I'll see you guys soon. Peace. Stay creative.